Unscripted, unfiltered, unafraid. Welcome to the new Macworld Podcast. How long do we keep this new? Are we still new? It's been like 5 or 6 shows.
This could be the last.
Is this the
one?
last? This is the last.
Yeah. Now it's just the current Macworld Podcast.
That's right. This is welcome to the Macworld Podcast. I'm Michael Simon, and joined as always by Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And our producer, Roman Loyola.
Hello.
This is podcast number 951. We're recording this on Tuesday, September 16th, and we are all waiting for our new iPhones to arrive, just like you. But before that happens, we're going to talk all about the things that we did get this week. iOS 26, macOS 26, watchOS 26, iPadOS 26, Vision OS 26, maybe if Jason has something to say about that. Any other 26 things we want to talk about, tvOS, whatever. It's all going to be about that stuff.
It's so nice that you can now just say the OS 26 updates, and it's all the same year ones, and you don't have to go like, well, it's macOS 15 and watchOS whatever.
Which we always got wrong.
Whatever.
We always had to correct each other.
It's much nicer. I've even seen Apple, when their PR sends an email or something to us or something, just call them the OS 26 updates are coming out. And it's like, thank you guys.
It's so much better. So you're going to talk about all that. We'll have a special Emmys version of what's on Apple TV Plus this week in Apple history, and we'll close with our reader mailbag. Speaking of reader mailbag, you can contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. Search for search for Macworld. Look for the Blue Mouse logo. I'm going to add this. We don't have a dedicated podcast email, but if you have something to say, you can email me. My email is michael_simon@foundrycode.com. Tell us about how you feel about iOS 26, iPhones, whatever you want. We'll talk about that next week. So this past weekend, my son turned 14 on Sunday, which is, mind-blowing for me. Like, parents are always like, how is my kid this old? But so we all kind of chipped in as like a family. My grandparents, or rather his grandparents, my brother and us, and we got him a new iPhone 17, which is coming Friday. And it's his first. It's not his first phone, but it's his first new phone. He was using an old iPhone 13 that I gave him a couple of years ago as like a starter phone, because I wasn't buying him a $1,000 phone at 11, or 12. But 14, I figured it's okay. But it got me, I guess a little whimsical for my first. So I don't really remember my first cell phone. I know I had a Razr when I got my first iPhone, but I very vividly remember my first iPhone. I had just gotten married a month before, May 26th, I got married. And the iPhone came out, I think it was June 29th. I looked it up and now I forgot. It was something in the late 20s. But my wife and I went to the mall to see Ratatouille, which came out the same weekend. Maybe coincidence, I don't know. Steve Jobs was hooked up with Pixar, I don't know. So we stopped by the Apple store just to see it. I wanted to look at the phone because, it's a big deal. And we walked out with 2 of them. We were that blown away.
And Apple stores were a novelty then too. They weren't everywhere they are now.
Right. We were living in Providence, Rhode Island. There was one right by our apartment. But there weren't a ton of them.
It was selling iPhones that exploded Apple stores all over. Right. I mean, before that, they didn't need 2,000 Apple stores in the US to sell Macs. Right. There wasn't. Yeah. So
Macs and iPods. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember the whole process, looking at it, making the decision, because it was a lot of money. It was $600 at the time, times 2, because I bought one for my wife too, of course. And it was a lot for us. And we had just gotten married, so we had a little extra money from the wedding. But I remember taking it home, opening it up, starting it up. It's your first iPhone is a big deal when you're, younger. Do you guys have a moment, have a memory like I did, or Roman? I think you're still using your first iPhone.
Mine is not as attached to a life event as yours is. I do remember getting my first cell phone.
Right.
I lived in Vermont at the time, and I worked for a games magazine. And they were gonna start sending me out to. It's a games magazine in Vermont. Like you have to travel a lot to go visit game publishers. This is back when magazines mattered.
Right.
Like everybody didn't get everything on the website all the time. This was like circa 1999 or 1998. Yeah. So we had a website, but like you had to go to do previews. You had to like go to a publisher and like check out their game and ask questions and get all your information and then go back home and write it before the deadline. And they were going to start sending me around all the time. And I'm like, I should really get a cell phone. So I went to one of those like kiosks in the mall, you know, and I got a Motorola StarTAC, which was like
classic.
Like, well, it wasn't classic then. It was like, this is what everyone had. right. It was like that black clamshell snap thing. Sure. And then I went through a couple other clamshell, you know, over the years they get updated and stuff. So that was long before. Yeah. By the time 2007 rolled around, I was living out in San Francisco, and I remember seeing like the line at the Apple Store. I was super interested in the iPhone, but I'm like, I'm not standing in that line. Forget it. And I think I got mine like a week or two after when. Oh,
so you did get the original.
I got the original, but I got the original after it was easy to get. Like you could walk in, and as long as you went early in the morning, they would sell out every day. Every new shipment they got, they would instantly sell out. But you could just, as long as you walked in at like by 10 a.m., you could just go in and get one. And I remember getting one then, and it was just, there was just something mind blowing about it, because like I had been using those. I don't know what you would call them, but like there was no Windows phone, but it was like, was it Windows CE or whatever? There was, they were like little tablets, but meant to be phones too, and did all that stuff. And I was using those, and I was like, this is cool, but like, it's nothing like what I saw them demonstrate on the iPhone. And then when you get the iPhone, just the way that it was so easy to operate with your fingers instead of some stylus, that you could like, the maps were just completely transformative. Voicemail, you had to dial a phone number to call in and listen to your voicemails one at a time, and like press the button to go through them one at a time. So visual voicemail just changed everything. So I remember that pretty vividly. I remember waiting outside a restaurant, like, it'll be 30 minutes to seat you. And it was like the day I had gotten earlier that day. And I was like, I was checking everything out, because I had just gotten it a couple of hours before and just finished setting it up. And then we're out there like waiting for dinner. I'm like, oh, look at this. Look at this. I'm like showing my wife, look at this. She wasn't my wife yet, I don't think. No, not yet.
Roman, did you get an iPhone memory?
iPhone 1.
I did. I was at Mac Life at the time, and I actually sat in line at the AT&T store, and I wrote a quote unquote, live blog, because live blogging. It wasn't a thing because you couldn't post live, because there was no like really web access remotely. But I wrote like essentially a journal of what happened in line, and it wasn't actually that exciting at all. And then I didn't write the review for Mac Life, but I wrote a review for one of Mac Life's sister publications in the UK. I don't remember. I think it was T3. I don't remember exactly, but So I remember being in line for the first iPhone, and it wasn't actually as exciting as it sounds. It probably I remember being in line thinking, why am I in line at the I was in line at the AT&T store because somebody else was in line for Mac Live at the Apple store, so he wanted coverage of both. And I drew the short straw, and it wasn't as, because the Apple store has the people cheering for you and things like that.
Oh yeah,
everyone's all excited. The AT&T store was nothing like that at all. So,
I was working or freelancing for Mac Life at the time, and I went to I didn't go into the store, but I went to the Apple store, the same Apple store that I went to a couple of days later, and took photos and probably sent them to the same editor that you sent yours to, and they put those on. Those days are long. All those articles are gone. But yeah, we were documenting like the Apple Store on the day of an iPhone event was a big deal. I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore. It's nice to reminisce, but man, those days sucked. When you had to wait for like an hour or 2 hours, they gave you water. They would like come out and like pump you up. Like, come on, you guys excited? Like, I just want my damn phone. Like, please just let me go in the store. So
people still line up at the store.
Some
but
do.
It's not like it was before.
It's not at all.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, let's get into the real stuff. So we're recording this on Tuesday, September 16th. Yesterday, Apple released everything. All the OSs. Some years they kind of break them apart. This year they didn't. It's kind of underappreciated how like Apple's able to do that. Like they ship these. It's like 1 billion plus devices that get updated at once. Like no one else does that. Google does
way
it
more.
with Pixel phones. Yeah, maybe more. Maybe like 1 billion and a half.
They have over 1 billion customers, and then people have multiple devices and stuff. So it's probably 8 billion devices, like individual devices.
Yeah, whatever the number is, it's
HomePods
huge.
and all those things.
And like no other Samsung rolls it out over a couple weeks. Even like Android phones roll it out. Google sends it, but just to like the Pixels, which is a pretty small club. But Apple's just like, here you go. And I updated, so I always wait to update my stuff for the most part because I want to get like that first day experience. It was pretty smooth. Like
even in Microsoft, who was probably the first one to have this like sort of big global like download updates for everybody, like to build a whole CDN for this kind of giant global thing. Like even then, they like Windows updates roll out over the course of it's quick. It's like a day or two, but like it's still, So for them to do all this is pretty impressive. And this year, macOS is at the same time as everything else.
Right.
It was last year as well, but every year going back years and years before that, you'd have all the iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, all that stuff, all the new OS kind of things. And then macOS would drop anywhere from a couple of weeks to like a month later.
Right.
And that was frustrating because there'd be features that work together and you couldn't get them yet. And just everything
is there.
Yep.
And it took me it was a little while to download the iOS update. I did it at about 1:30 my time. So about a half hour after it. And it was like, I don't know, 15 minutes. I didn't have to wait like 2 hours. Like way back when there were times when servers would get jammed, and it's pretty seamless. It's pretty painless. And so Jason, you've been using the iOS beta since day one. Yeah. We'll start there. How does this version, the one that we all have now, like how does that compare to the one that they released in June?
It's pretty interesting that this year, first of all, they didn't announce anything at WWDC that wasn't going to be in this release, right? Like every year, there's a bunch of features, and then there's some with little stars that say coming in an update later this year.
Yeah, we usually write an article. Yeah, and we don't have that article this year because it doesn't. There aren't
because it doesn't exist. They didn't announce anything, so we have no idea what's going to come in these first few updates, other than security things. Right. I assume something.
Yeah.
So that's one interesting thing, and then that I don't remember if it was the first developer beta or the second developer beta, but before they even got to the public beta, they had all those features.
Right.
Like there was almost nothing. I think the only thing that kind of wasn't in there were like live iPod translation stuff, like AirPod translation, which was rumored, but they didn't talk about it at WWDC. But it is what we got. So we got that. We got the changes where you can run that go with AirPod 3, where you can run workouts within the fitness app. We got a couple of those things that they kind of announced at the iPhone 17 event, but everything else was in there.
Specific stuff, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they do work with older products, but they were saving it for that announcement.
Right.
So other than that, it's all been there the whole time, and all they've been doing is like fiddling with little design elements here and there. Every now and then there'd be a really minor thing, like there's new ringtones. Like
Right.
right? Like, oh, there was one ringtone, there's 4 more now, and that's kind of the level of the changes we got over the beta. The rest was like tweaking the design here and there, fixing bugs, performance, all that stuff. The biggest thing was that those first release, the liquid glass effect was very transparent. It was very strongly glassy. And it was really hard to read a lot of stuff. If you had, depending on what was behind the glass effect, you had no contrast. You could not read your text. It was really bad. They toned it down a lot. They refined the kind of fogginess of the glass and stuff, and the boldness of the text and some of those things. It's still a problem in a few little places, but it's a lot more reasonable. And that was like the biggest thing. Everything else was just like bug fixes, new ringtone,
The liquid glass is obviously the number one thing that you immediately see. It's right on the lock screen. It's on all the icons. It's on the dock. It's the notification center when you pull it down and you get that glass effect. It's really slick. Like I have a 16 Plus. I'm not sure how slick it would be on like a 10R or a 10S, like the oldest iPhone supported. But on the newer phones, it's a very, very nice effect. I can still see bits where like the legibility is an issue. But you just gotta, you move it up a notch so you can read it. Like if it's a notification, you just move the screen a little bit. Like it's okay. Yeah. People are complaining, of course, on social media as they do, which is gonna happen. The Apple called it like a new material, which sounds absurd because it's programming, but it does feel like categorically different than any other interface we've had, at least on an iPhone or any other device.
To me, it just really reminds me of, especially now that they toned it down to where you can read it. It looks like the old Windows Vista or
the
macOS
like
that had
the
that
glass
effect.
Effects are impressive. Like it's not just transparency. Like like the corners and the things glow and like
as you move your phone, like it's a little. It is, but it's not like so next level that I'm like, oh, they can do that. Like, I don't know. I play video games. They can do these things. I'm not like, I had no idea they could do this.
It's not like we haven't seen it before, but to see it system wide on a device, all the devices really, like you can kind of get a glimpse of like what they're doing with these things and like what the next.
I still think it's all. How can I put this? I like the layout changes that come with it. Mm-hmm. The way the interface design has changed, like where they put, there's fly out menus and menus shrink away when you scroll and all those kinds of things that they do. And it's in all the apps. I think the whole transparency thing, once you get over just the wow effect, it's just worse. Like even when it's toned down and you can read it, you're like, that you're going to give it credit for being able to read your notification. Like I could read it before, like any reduction in my ability to read my notification is worse. So I just think having transparency on interface elements is, we learned from this already. We've already been through that. Like this was a problem and we made things like flat and opaque. So it's eye-catching, but then after you get over the eye-catchingness of it, that's not what's better about it. Though, and you can still make things react to your touch and all that other stuff without it being glassy. Like to do things like change size and show that you're touching it and all this. That's all separate from the glassiness. So I'm not a huge fan of the glassiness of the effect. I'm not as upset about it as some people online where they're like, I can't read anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
But it's just not an improvement. It's just like, ooh, but then the ooh doesn't last more than a week and it's just not an improvement.
Maybe, and I'll get back to you in a week and see if I'm still into it. But like my phone it's a very nice, sophisticated look.
Okay.
And I don't know, like you can kind of like say, well, Apple's training our eyes for when we have glasses and stuff. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they're just doing it because they can. Maybe they're just doing it because they wanted to do something different. I don't know. But the fact that it's across all of the devices, the fact that it is a unified look, really for the first time, where every device has a thread, a visual thread that is coherent. I like it. I don't think it's a step backward, but I do understand what you're saying in the sense that legibility, even if it's an issue 1 out of 20 times, if that's like it shouldn't be. You should be able to look at your phone and see what you're doing.
It was 0 out of 20.
It was 0.
So we're stepping backward. I do agree with you about the sort of unification of how everything looks and works. And that's separate from transparency.
Yeah.
But just things like search bars are at the bottom. They're always like for all of Apple's apps, like photos, music, all this stuff. If you have to search, it's down at the bottom. Major app categories and pages are flyout menus at the bottom. Selections within the page you are on, like filtering or options or something for the page you're on, are in the upper right. Like that's always the same, having that unified across all the apps. Hopefully third-party app developers kind of take those same general hints for their apps so that people just kind of know where everything's going to be, even when you fire up a new app. Like all that stuff's good. Things like buttons reacting better to your touch, like visually reacting better. Like I like all that. I just don't think it needs to be classy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. But it's that, like, clearly this is it. Like Apple's not going to next year do some other interface. Like this is what we got for probably 10 years now.
Yeah, it'll probably it'll probably go through some changes over time.
Some tweaks. Like, I mean, it already did. So based on that first beta, like, are you happy kind of with where Liquid Glass landed? Like, I know they took away a lot of the transparency.
Yeah, it was,
at least
there were parts that were nigh unusable. Like your control center was practically unusable. Like you could not tell what the heck was going on because it was so often you would pull it down in front of your icons, your home screen icons.
Yeah.
So that's what was being slightly distorted behind your screen. And it would be a flat background and then all these icons and all the text for them. And then all of these little square or sliders on top of that were your control center. You couldn't read that. Right. That was a mess. So,
and those are the ones like those made the rounds on social media. And in beta 2, Apple like really kind of dialed it back, and then kind of as it went along, they brought some of it back. I mean, I think it's in a good spot. If you have like a dark wallpaper, it's much easier to see everything behind it. Which, so maybe they'll tweak that as it goes forward. But aside from the Liquid Glass stuff, like I feel like, and maybe it's just my imagination because it's new, but everything feels a little bit quicker with this, with iOS 26 versus iOS 18, where the lock screen comes up quicker, apps launch quicker, scrolling through the stuff feels a little bit faster. Am I crazy, Jason, or is that?
I don't think any of that's. I don't think things like. I don't think like it can scroll faster or like an app launches faster. Like I don't think those are necessarily things. Like
maybe it's just the animation that I'm responding.
I think that's what it is. I think they have sped up certain transition animations, like the how fast an app's expand and collapse animation goes. Yeah, it does feel like certain things like that have been sped up a little bit. Which it makes you feel like they're faster.
It feels
and
like
that's good.
Faster,
yeah.
So
that works.
Like amongst old time Mac users, there was that joke, Safari feels snappier whenever there was an update. And like, it really does feel like and again, it's probably just like a visual trick, but everything feels a little better. And I like, I'm just a sucker for this stuff, but I like the little bounce when you unlock your phone. Is like a slight little bounce for the icons, like they hit, and then it's almost they're like falling into place.
Yeah, all those little hints are kind of really important, and I'm glad that they had those.
Yeah, it's a very Apple thing They've been doing it forever. Like these little tiny tweaks that only they think of, that's only they do, and it just makes everything feel fresh and new and vibrant. More so.
If you can't stand the transparency, there is if you go into settings and go into the assistant stuff, there is a turn down the transparency thing that kind of makes it have a much more milky look to it, like a more like hazy glass, right? And that will improve things somewhat for you.
It's an accessibility thing. Roman will throw it in the show notes. We have an article about it. On the other hand, if you want more liquid glass, you can customize your home screen and have it be, I forget what the word they uses, but there's light, there's dark, there's clear or something, and you can make like all your icons and widgets like even more transparent than they are now. You can make
them glass and stuff. Yeah.
And I tried that. I couldn't handle it. It was
very hard to read.
It was very hard to read. It was just too much light bouncing around my phone. Like I couldn't do it. But that if you want more liquid glass, that's also an option. All right. So what else we got in iOS 26, Jason?
Well, that's iOS, macOS, all the other OS things like.
Before we jump to the next one, is there anything in iOS 26 specifically you want to call out?
I mean, we went over this back when we were discussing
the beta
WWDC
stuff,
and the beta, and because they released everything they talked about then, like it's those same things. And there's the new phone app is nice.
It is nice.
I haven't messed with things like backgrounds for messages and stuff, but so those kinds of improvements. If you were mad about like the Photos app change, you'll appreciate how they didn't quite change it back, but they did make it so that all those category things are on another page now.
Right.
So your default page is just like the big list of all your photos, like it used to be. Right. So you get that back. It's one of those updates that there's just a lot of little stuff.
And what's good for users is Apple has a ton of little tips and pop-ups the first time you open something, the first time you do something. Back in the day, they would have like 8 screens at the front and you would swipe, and then not know where anything is. Now, like when I open the camera app, it's like, hey, this is a little bit different here. Here's where you find this, like a little pop-up. The Photos app has a full screen thing where it'll tell you stuff. But it's good to open things and pay attention to those little pop-ups and not just swipe them away.
I was going to say, if I could convince you readers of listeners of anything, it's that please don't just like
pay attention
as quickly dismiss those as because I know you're trying to do something. You're trying to take a picture. Right. So like you open camera and you're like, what's this? You just like get rid of it just quick, right? Don't. Like it's very brief and it will tell you what's up. Like and for all your apps, so it's super annoying on update day that every app you open, some card comes up and says, "What's new in Notes?" And you're like, Markdown, cool. Right. But just read it because.
But there's like the little pop-ups, like the phone app. The first time you launch it, it'll say, "Do you want this new view or do you want the classic view?" Like, pay attention to that stuff. And messages too. Like it's different. Like things are just a little bit different. It's all there. And again, like you can kind of see that Apple is walking along this path to, virtual AR stuff. Phones that have, there's that curved one, the folding one, like all of this stuff is going to lead the way to the next generation of devices. So we need to learn it now, basically.
It's always been very hard to teach people to change or add features or something to an interface or a computer system or anything, and then tell people about it. Like the Macworld podcast listeners are paying attention to this stuff. They saw the WWDC thing. They're looking at whatever. But like your average of the billion customers they have, like how many of them, that's a very narrow amount. Most people get a prompt 3 weeks from now that says, please update your phone. And you have to hit OK and it'll restart. And then everything will be different. And telling people how to use their device is like, it's tough. That's a tough thing because you could spend. Apple could really annoy people with way too much explanation, which they probably need, but it's way too much.
Right.
But on the other hand, like people just dismiss anything. They just it's like check the terms and conditions. Yes, go, skip, whatever. Just like let me get back to, Facebook or whatever. I just want to watch TikToks. Leave me alone. Like,
and like we said at the beginning, I mean, this was pushed out to 1 billion or 2 or more devices, and it's jarring. It's probably the biggest change. It's not probably. It's the biggest change since iOS 7. Like it is different. Like things are different. Apps are different. The look is different. Things are different. And if you weren't expecting that, like us as Mac journalists or whatever you want to call us, Mac reporters, Apple reporters, like we are entrenched in this stuff. There's a lot of people that don't follow the trajectory of Apple's OS releases. They probably don't even know that they come out every September. And so when it happens, they're like, what on earth is this? And I think Apple did a good job in this particular release of not bombarding you, but letting you know when something's major has changed and whether or not you can change it back.
But only if you pay attention to it.
Right.
My neighbors are a good example of people who they will not update their device today. They'll update it when they're prompted to. They don't know there was an update this week. And when they're prompted to, they'll say, oh, it says I need to do this. And they'll click OK. And then I'll get a call a week after that saying, where did they put this? Why did they change this? I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, well, it told you. Did you just click away the screen? I just clicked it away. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So iOS 26. It's the big. I think it's the biggest of all the OS 26s. It's the biggest. It's the most obvious change. macOS. Actually, no. iPadOS is pretty big.
Yeah, I was gonna say iPadOS really has all the Mac. It has all the iOS changes. I mean, it's not as important to the world because people don't have and rely on iPads the way they do iPhones. But it has all the iPhone stuff, but also all that windowing stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in iPadOS. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's the biggest update. It's just not the most important update.
You're right. Yeah. So like you can still use your iPad like you did before if you want to. It'll look different like the iPhone. But if you want to have full screen apps and that stuff, like it's fine. But you can also have it behave more like your Mac with floating windows, with menus, there's a menu bar that'll appear if you wanted to. It's again a look at most likely what the folding phone is how the folding phone is going to operate next year. But right now, even like I use it on the I have an iPad Mini, and like it really changed the way I use it because I can use it more like a Mac than I ever had before. It doesn't fundamentally change anything about the way the apps work, but it's nice.
If you're one of those people who your iPad lives in a case that's a keyboard and a touchpad, which a lot of people do. Like a lot of people that's their iPad is a laptop. It's got a keyboard case, right? Like it's going to be a huge difference for you because when you open it up landscape and you've got a keyboard, and especially if you've got a trackpad on that keyboard, you can get like persistent mouse cursors and like menus. And it's not just a menu bar. Like you have menu options with all the stuff you're used to on a Mac, like file, edit, view. It's, all those things. And that stops you from jumping through like 10 different menus from the touch tap interface of that app. Like it's so much faster and easier. So that's just a gigantic change for you if you are like a iPad with a keyboard type of person.
I mean, there's going to be some muscle memory that needs to be unlearned and relearned because it's different. Yep. But I feel like this could be the release that really changes. Apple's been pushing the iPad as a computer, as a post PC computer device forever. And like maybe this is it. Like maybe this is the release that actually gets people to use an iPad instead of a Mac, not with a Mac or as a companion to a Mac, but instead of buying a MacBook, maybe you buy an iPad Pro with the keyboard in 6 months.
Yep. Yeah, because you're like, oh, I can do all these things, but also I get all this like touch, the stylus, and all that other kind of stuff. I think,
the camera stuff, and you get it's the best of both worlds, which is what the iPad was supposed to be. When it launched,
all the games I play on my phone are here,
are all there,
all that kind of stuff. So that could be. It could be. I'm really curious to see what this does to sort of iPad sales over time.
Yeah, agreed.
And especially as once they launch a new iPad, we'll start to see marketing that features all this new interface stuff. Like we don't really see that. They're not going to do TV commercials
for
like buy an iPad
right?
For iPadOS 26. But once we start seeing commercials, I'll be curious to see what goes on with this.
Yeah, I agree.
People should know. It's a huge deal.
The Pro is probably first based on what we're hearing rumor wise. And that's the one where the Pro with the Magic Keyboard with the Apple Pro, the Apple Pencil Pro, those are, I assume, if you're spending all that money on an iPad Pro, you're probably getting those accessories.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting, as Jason just said, how they market it and whether it, eats into Mac sales a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be, there's so much going on because there's, like you said, there's that. iPad Pros, especially with those accessories, are very expensive. So that's just not huge sales volume anyway. It's when did they update?
Pros are expensive too. It's about the same price, couple grand.
Right. But what I'm saying is in terms of knowing, is this going to really juice iPad sales? That's not going to be your yardstick. And then we also have these rumors of a cheap MacBook coming out. Right. So maybe that eats iPad sales. We don't know what's going to cannibalize what. I think Apple's just happy as long as more people start buying and using more devices. But yeah, a year from now to see how this all shakes out with these new operating systems and their changes and what they do to the popularity of different products. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see. I wish they still gave sales numbers.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. We have to kind of guesstimate based on how much, but based on the revenue, which is very difficult because there's so many different devices at different price points.
And there's some retail trackers out there who look at retail data about what sold and everything. Yeah. But so many things are bought direct from Apple online and stuff that doesn't capture that data and everything. It's very tricky. So we'll see what happens.
But so iPadOS 26, the iPad feels like less of an iPhone for the first time ever and more like a Mac. And so I updated to Tahoe this morning actually. And it's funny how much it looks like an iPad a little bit. The windows are curved more.
Right.
The two iPadOS 26 and macOS 26 really feel like visually compatible now. Whereas before the iPad felt like a phone. And I'm going to ask Roman now because he's been using Tahoe for a while. What's your thoughts on this update and what it means or what you like or however you want to take this?
So Tahoe, trying to figure out where I should start. Let's start with liquid glass. So the thing about liquid glass on the Mac is that so liquid glass, one of the main effects that it's supposed to have, it's more telling on the iPhone and perhaps and the iPad as well as this floating effect. Mm-hmm. That elements on screen, UI elements seem to be floating, and that doesn't seem to me. It doesn't feel like it translates as well on the Mac. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look. I don't know what's that. It doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah, I agree. When you pull over the notification center thing, it doesn't have the same effect as it does when you pull it down on the iPhone. I like the menu bits on Tahoe. They're kind of almost like shadow elements on the side of the window. I kind of like that. It's again similar to the iPad. But I hear what you're saying. It doesn't. Liquid glass on the Mac isn't nearly as noticeable.
No, it's not as noticeable.
Yeah, there are places like Control Center that it's more obvious, but
sure.
I think one of the things happening that makes it do what Roman's talking about, where it's just not so obvious that it has depth and stuff, is on iPhone, it's always using the sort of accelerometers and stuff to make the little specular highlights move and stuff like that the way it would if it was glass. And you don't have all that on a Mac. Like, it's certainly not a desktop Mac, and I don't think they're really using any of that stuff on a MacBook. So you don't, or even if they are, it's sitting on a desk and it's not like slightly shifting in your hand. Even if you're holding an iPhone steady, you're kind of slightly shifting your hand, especially as you touch the screen. Yeah. So when interface elements move, there's not that like physical nature of my device is moving and the light is gleaming slightly differently around these elements, right?
Yeah.
Like, get that. So it feels flatter for sure.
Yeah.
I don't hate most of it. Once I was mad that they messed up the Finder icon, but now that they fixed it, I'm okay. And I'm not mad about like sort of, there's a whole bunch of icon changes. I don't think they're so bad. What do you think about that, Roman? Because you've been using a Mac maybe longer than me.
Yeah, I am so the icon changes. So Apple's basically sticking to the roundish square icons that you see on iOS, and they're making that language on macOS. The problem is that there's still this transition of, mostly by third parties who don't work their icons within that restrictive area. So you end up like a compromise. Like, for instance, I'm looking at my Mac right now, and I use an app called EasyRes, and I don't actually use it anymore, but it's still on my Mac.
Right.
But its icon is a tape measure, and it's a kind of cool icon. But now in this new design language, they've placed this icon. This icon is now within a gray square.
Yeah, that's what they've done. That's like the default now.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't updated it for Tahoe yet, your existing icon is shrunk down, and there's a gray area around it. And I agree with Roman. It's like the best I can describe it is the icons of old had character. By old, I mean like last week.
Exactly.
Like, they had character. They were interesting. Some of them came out of their frame like automated or something like that. Like, they look cool. Like, you wanted to see them in your dock. Like, now they're just, they're just there.
Yeah.
I mean things where they change stuff like the hard drive icons and stuff like that. Like, I
already changed my hard drive icon back. We actually,
I did too.
We wrote an article about that this morning, and Roman and I were talking back and forth. But yeah, I dislike the new one, but I'm also an old Mac guy. So if you're a new person, you probably don't care.
I've used so many different OSs over the years, and I've bounced around between, I every day use a Mac and I use Windows, and I went through my Linux phase like everybody else, and all this stuff. And I just feel like I just don't get hung up on it's not the way it used to look. I just want it to make sense. I just want it to be like, okay, that's an appropriate icon for that thing. And I feel like Apple's new icons fit that for me. You just need to get used to them being the thing that it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad about that. I'm not going to use like the glass dock the same way I'm not going to use the glass icons on my iPhone home screen. It's just way too hard to see what's going on. So,
yeah, I mean, again, some of the icons look fine, but other, like one of my favorite icons is the handbrake icon. It's a pineapple and a cocktail. And I always thought it looked cool. And I think the other thing is because of the way I navigate my Mac, there's an instant association. Oh, there's Handbrake because I can see the icon is instantly recognizable for me. So yeah, and now that they're all square, I have to kind of retool, relearn all that.
Did Handbrake update theirs, or is it the gray thing?
I actually downloaded it while you guys were talking about iOS to see if they upgraded it. They had not changed it yet.
So like a lot of those look jarring because they're so like the border around it makes it look old, and I think if you look at like something like Geekbench or something who has updated theirs, like it like you can still make it look really nice.
Right.
It's just going to take some work, and developers have enough to do. Now they got to design another icon for macOS, and it's been 3 months, and clearly a lot of them are just like that's not on my priority list.
Yeah. There's some other elements I like. Like I do like the transparent menu bar. I didn't like it at first, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to stick with it and see if I really
I like it too.
And I do like it. And I love the new control center because you can edit the controls now.
Yeah. Spotlight search is excellent. I got to train myself to use it more because I don't. But
that's the thing, yeah.
It's very powerful. The clipboard stuff is great, and there's a lot that you can do that you couldn't do before. I think that the way they've changed some of the things, like Launchpad's gone. Maybe I'll use it more just out of habit, but it's good. I just have to remember it's there.
Yeah, I think I was the only person in the world who used Launchpad.
I used it all the time. No, I did. That was one of, and if you look at social media, believe me, a lot of people are using it because they're all complaining.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
So I'm still getting used to that. And, I was a sporadic Spotlight user, and I'm trying to force myself to use it more. And when I do use it, I like it a lot. I still haven't gotten used to the fact that, there's clipboard utilities in there now.
Yes.
I keep forgetting that it's there. It's just a matter of practice because it is, when I do remember, it's extremely useful. I just have to remember that it's there.
Yeah.
The clipboard utilities and the ability, the thing where you can do actions within apps, like sort of macros, which it doesn't even really launch the apps. It just kind of does these things in the background.
Yeah.
Super powerful. It's not how I use Spotlight, and I have to train myself to do that because I think it could save me a lot of time if I got used to it, especially since you can like make a little 2 or 3 character quick command to do any of those, like right there in Spotlight. I use Spotlight constantly, but I use it to launch apps. I use it. If I'm typing and my fingers are on the keys, switching to my mouse or switching to the trackpad to launch an app isn't as fast as me just hitting like Command Space, typing the first few letters and pressing enter. So I do that all the time, and I need to like train myself to like, oh, you can do a lot more now. It's actually super useful. So I just need to get
Roman, let's write a Spotlight article because I want to learn what we could do with it too.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main things that they changed. It's good. I don't know if I love the rounded windows, Roman. What do you feel? They look a little like, I don't know, immature. Is that the best word for it?
I didn't dislike them, but I didn't like them either. I was kind of like, and as time has gone by, I've gotten used to them.
Okay,
but it just doesn't look. I don't think it looks as new as Apple thinks it does. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't feel like.
It doesn't feel modern.
It doesn't feel modern. It doesn't feel like fresh or, well, the opposite of fresh is stale. And it's not that it's stale. It just doesn't, I guess innovative is the word I'm looking for. It doesn't look innovative to me.
It's like a change for change's sake.
Right. Right.
I feel like it's I don't know what we call a side grade. Like it's the same. It's different, but it's not better or worse. The only thing I do like about the new Windows is that certain Windows, areas of the windows kind of have are boxed out and highlighted. Yeah, like the side of Finder,
and then there's like little shadows below it.
Right, like it used to be the sidebar for Finder, like the whole bar was gray. And now it's like a gray area highlight. And I just think that looks a little more sophisticated. Maybe.
I agree. I like that look, and that's similar to how it is on the iPad too. Like there's a simpatico there, and again, it doesn't change what you expect it to do. It just changes visually how it looks.
I'm not the kind of person who does things like gives all my folders different colors and stuff like that, which you can do. So those are those things. The thing that the biggest impact to me has been that some of the password autofill stuff has improved and works in things other than Safari. So like if you're a big Chrome user or something like that, all those great password autofill things, like when you get a text and you need a 2-factor code from it or something like that, stuff works in Chrome now. That has saved me a lot of copy paste frustration.
That was a Safari only thing for a couple of years. And it's a great feature. My God, like it's whoever thought of that, the first person to think of that, it's brilliant. But now it works in more apps, as Jason said, which is super helpful.
Yeah. And it's
funny. I just got a text. I literally, as we had the podcast, I just got a text from my dad with a screenshot of the iOS 26 update page saying, "Should I install this?"
Right.
So
live your life, Dad.
That point on that you were talking about earlier.
It's sort of a multi-feature thing here, but like the fact that they have a phone app and it's a continuity thing and stuff like that. I'll be working on my MacBook, which has been updated to Tahoe, and I've been running the beta for a while. And then I'll get a call from some spammer, but I have call screening on. So it doesn't ring. My phone doesn't ring, but I'll get the little notification that a phone call is coming in. And if I tap on that, that notification just expands out and I get the text of real time of my phone going, like, tell us your name and why you're calling, and we'll see if this person's available. And I can see their reply in real time. And nothing has disturbed me with noise. And I can read it right there. And then I can know whether I need to go pick up my phone or something. Like that kind of thing has been really helpful to me. It's like a reduction in distractions without missing anything important.
And that's like another layer
multiple things working together.
Yeah, as I was just going to say, that's like another layer of this. Apple is really like we've always had this tightness and this kind of continuity, which is what they call it, between devices. But it does feel like it's taken to like another level with iOS 26, both visually and the way they work together. And again, that's like another part of this multi-year strategy that they have with the iPhone, and I'm sure Vision Pro as that gets more mature.
Maybe,
we're going to see all of these things working and seamlessly without even really having to do it. It'll just do it.
Yeah. So putting the phone app, I think, on iPadOS, but especially macOS, has been more helpful than I thought. They still got a couple of boxes to tick, like, where's my health app? Where's my health app? Yeah. I know you've got a bunch of encrypted stuff on my phone, but it feels like you could move that from my phone to my Mac. And not shuffle it through a server somewhere. Like, I feel like that's fine. So there's phone, things like fitness, things like wallet. Wallet's the other one where it's not that I'm trying to tap and pay with my Mac, but it has my list of I open a wallet to either get a credit card number to copy and paste into some form online, or to just look at like a purchase history and stuff like, when did I buy that or something? I would love to do that on my Mac if I've got my Mac open and going. So there's some stuff I want them to kind of more of this continuity, please.
Yeah. I mean, there's a wallet setting on your Mac, but there's no wallet app to do the things that you would do.
You can't see all your all that stuff.
Like you could buy stuff, obviously, through Apple Play, through your card, through your wallet on your Mac. So why not have it there?
Yeah, Apple
and that's
Pay
another thing. Like we're going to need that on glasses and stuff. Like all that stuff's going to have to be all tied together. So, there's still more to go, but like we're closer than we've ever been to having just like 7 different devices that all just seemingly you put one down, you pick one up, and it's all just the same thread throughout all of them. I haven't used CarPlay yet with iOS 26. So I'll see like that's also visually and functionally a little bit different than it was in iOS 18. And that's another example. We're not going to get an Apple car. Like that's not happening. But Apple is working with other car manufacturers to bring that look, the what's it called, CarPlay Ultra. So like everywhere we go, every screen in our life will just bounce from one thing to the next seamlessly. Mm. All right, we're like, what are we, like an hour in, Roman, give or take?
Yeah.
We're an hour. Okay. Do we have anything to say about Apple watchOS 26?
That had the sort of mild, well, other than a HomePod, that has sort of the mildest set of updates. There's some stuff like scrolling through your list of workouts when you start them is different. It's not like a whole bunch of cards. It's like a full page flip thing. There's the Workout Buddy I didn't know this. There's different Workout Buddy voices. I complained about the British guy. But there's like three you can go in. I don't remember if it's in the fitness app or I think it's in the watch app on your phone. But there's a setting for like which of the three Workout Buddies sound like voice things you want. So, but still, like that's when you start a workout, like, oh, you've been crushing it with 5 workouts this week and all this other stuff. I don't need any of that, but that's new. It just doesn't have a ton of new stuff. The main thing is that
it gets the liquid glass thing, but it's not as obvious and it's not as jarring at all.
Where you see it is when your passcode pops up every time. Like that's when you go like, the rest of the time.
Right. That's the most obvious place. And there's a watch face that you can, like a liquid glass watch face. But for the most part, it's essentially the same. I mean, you don't really use apps like you do on your other devices. So like it's, it still feels like it's part of your iPhone and your Mac and stuff, but there's not as much that needs to be done to integrate that stuff.
The only other major thing that actually impacts me every day about the update is the new flick wrist gesture. Yeah. Because I use my Apple Watch all the time when I'm cooking as a timer. And because I just want to make sure that like I take the rice off the heat after 12 minutes or whatever, so I'll set a timer because it's on my wrist and I'll just lift to speak to it without, you've been able for a long time to talk to Siri just by like lifting your wrist. There's a setting for that. But then when the timer's going off, the stop timer button is a little bitty corner button. You should be able to mash anywhere on your screen to stop it. It doesn't work that way. But now I can flick my wrist. I can just turn my wrist up and back, and it 100% of the time works, and it stops.
100% of the time. That's good.
I have not yet had it
work 100% of the time.
No, it did not. The thing with your fingers pinching, like you used to be able to do that. That was a setting too, and I think that's why they came up with this because that was not reliable, and I would do it over and over and over, and then I would just tap the screen with my messy cooking hand. So now, just like flicking my wrist totally works, and I'm happy about that. And that's the only time it works. I use it to dismiss timers.
But yeah, I mean that's like that and notifications. Like that's the use case for it.
Yeah.
That's good. I updated my Apple Watch this morning, and it was for some reason, and maybe it's me. Like that's the device that gives me the most problems. I'll get like, I can't find your watch, or bring it closer, or put it on the charger. It's like I again, maybe it's me and the way I'm doing it, but it's not as seamless as it is with the iPhone, where I press a button, it updates and it's done. And I know like there's a pairing handshake thing that has to happen between the phone, but I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it never worked well.
The demand that it's on a charger has always been kind of annoying, but I haven't had any kind of other handshake issues where it's like I
don't even understand the charger thing. Like why? Do you know the technical reason why it has to be on a charger?
I mean, these sorts of things are usually just because like it's a very low power device, and it can take a long time for it to install the thing, and not just to download it, but like to unpack everything and perform all the operations to update the OS before as it reboots. But it would seem like as long as you have like 50% charge or something, they could just be like, all right, you're fine. You can do it without the.
I mean, the phone needs a certain charge to update.
Yep. And so I feel like they could do that. Maybe they just are concerned that it could, if it bricks or something, you'll never be able to start it up or something. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the next step for the watch, it needs to be more independent of the iPhone. Like you still need an iPhone to have an app to set up an Apple Watch. And I think that like the next, maybe with the longer battery life on the Series 11, the new chips, I don't know. It would be nice if you can just buy an Apple Watch and set it up all by itself without having to worry about having a phone or another device to pair it with, and certainly update it. Like you can't update it when like you can go through the thing on your wrist and then it says to put it on a charger. Like you can't update your watch.
You can't update it without the phone.
Right.
You can go into settings, general system update, and it'll download it, and then you hit install, and then it'll say, okay, put it on the charger, and it will reboot, and it'll get there. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the clunkiest of all of them. I haven't updated my Apple TV yet. Is there any reason to like
mine did? There's a few minor interface changes that some of which I kind of appreciate. They do tell you in the TV app when you've got like stuff in your up next or whatever coming up, it used to not tell you how long something is. Now there's a little 38 minutes or whatever on the icon.
Oh yeah, I see that on the Mac app too. It has the new interface. Yeah.
Like on the icon for the show, it tells you how long that episode is or whatever. I appreciate that. Like we used to have to like hop into the show to look at the episodes to see, wait, is that a 27-minute show or is that a 58-minute show? I forget, so it's nice to have that. There's some little things like that. There's some other updates to things like if you do the karaoke or something, there's things I don't do with my Apple TV that are improved, but it's certainly not a drastic change to Apple TV.
Oh, speaking of karaoke, I tried out that auto mix in Apple Music, and man, that thing's awesome.
It can be cool.
If you're a subscriber, it's a cool little feature that I don't know I don't know what you want to call it.
It's just a way to transition between songs. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does it in like a really, like it's not like they used to have crossfade, which is nice. It's fine. But this is like almost like a DJ is like syncing up the tracks and changing them from one to another.
Yeah, cool. It takes a beat matched the next song. It only works with certain genres of songs. So you've got to, but depending on what your musical taste is, you may never really hear the auto mix transitions. But yeah, it's pretty.
And
good.
I think it's only playlists as well. Like
playlists,
it won't work on shuffle of like your library or like an album. Like I think it's just a playlist that you created. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure.
I think it also works on the sort of, what do you call it? Like the radio stations that are like, rock hits or whatever, stuff or Mike's station, things like that.
Yeah.
They're streaming. They're not saved playlists, but they are, but they're not Apple One or something like that. No, they're not a live.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's that too. But
they work
like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's funny how we've had this whole talk and we haven't mentioned like Apple Intelligence once. Like this release is very much not heavy. There's some new stuff. Like Image Playground is better, has a new icon, thankfully, because that thing was terrible. But there's nothing like inherently new. Like, all right, so the auto mix thing, that's an AI thing.
Right.
Obviously. But they didn't label it as Apple Intelligence. Like the whole build for Apple Intelligence, that's all gone.
They kind of
just
did.
Your devices.
They did, but they did it in like a subtle way. Because everything AI now is Apple Intelligence. And so like during WWDC, they talked about these things as Apple Intelligence features, but they didn't have like a whole Apple Intelligence section where they're talking about new gen AI stuff. It's just like you said, it's these features that they're AI features, but they are not new gen AI whatevers.
Which is what they always did. Like they always had AI machine learning stuff built in.
They took all their previous AI, ML stuff. Everything new that's in that vein is, quote, Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence, right.
Fine.
Right.
Like, for example, you can take any image, even things taken on like a DSLR or something in the Photos app and turn it into sort of a pseudo 3D image. And that's really fun.
Spatial videos, spatial photo stuff.
Spatial photos. And you can, on your lock screen, when you're customizing your lock screen, if you use photos for your lock screen, there's a little toggle. You can be like, oh yeah, use spatial photos for this. Mm-hmm. And it will spatial photo any of those. And it works with your accelerometer, makes your thing. It's really cool. That's an AI feature. It's an, quote, Apple Intelligence feature, but it's not Gen AI like, oh, make me a new image out of a prompt. So it's not what people are talking about when they talk about AI these days.
And when we were talking about Apple Intelligence last year, like that was the best stuff, was the subtle things, the things that you didn't have to think about or physically go do. And like, I know everyone talks about AI and Gen AI and chatbots, and Apple will probably get there, but they don't really need to. Like,
well,
the
Siri
things that they do on their device.
Yeah,
Siri needs help. Siri needs help.
That, yeah.
And we're probably getting that help in 3 months, 4 months soon. Maybe
better text generation or creating images out of prompts and stuff like that. Like I don't know why.
Leave it to somebody else.
Leave it to somebody else. Apple doesn't need to go down this road. Frankly, I feel like the Image Playground app is kind of an embarrassment.
A little bit. Yeah, it's a little better now, and you can use ChatGPT to make images now. Even the Apple image generation is improved a lot over iOS 18, but it's still kind of embarrassingly bad. Even the icon for Image Playground is bad. Like, it's better than it was. I don't even know what that was before, like a cat or something.
A panda, maybe.
It's better now. But yeah, I agree. And you could tell that Apple's not really concerned about that stuff. Like, they did it because they had to. They have a lot of pressure from their investors and the tech world at large. But now that that's done and they showed that they can do it, I guess, now they can get back to doing what they do best. Mm-hmm. And iOS 26, macOS 20, all these things, this really kind of showcases like why we buy Apple stuff, this whole ecosystem interaction stuff. It's probably the best set or the most solid set of releases that Apple's ever done.
Yeah, they did a really good job, I think, this year of releasing something that isn't full of bugs, isn't like half released, and then they've got other stuff coming up. Like they do, we just don't know what they are. But like,
it's going to be like genuine surprises. Yeah,
it's probably the way to go, and it's going to be nice when iOS 26.2 beta rolls around and there's something to talk about, because it's not just like, oh, we finally get that thing they talked about in June. Like, it's going to be like,
it spreads out this new thing. It spreads out all the attention over a year rather than just having it all at once. Yeah, I think it's better this way. Yeah. All right, so all that stuff's out. You can download it all on your devices if you haven't already. Spend the weekend.
I don't really have any warning. I usually,
I don't think so.
We're like, maybe you might want to wait for the next bug fix or whatever. You're like, just wait a couple of weeks if you're not in a rush. I don't feel like that this year. I feel like I say like, go ahead and do it. Rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's been 24 hours since they launched as we record this, and there hasn't been like any widespread complaints about, other than like how it looks and stuff. But there's no usually there's like if there's a major bug, like we'll know immediately. There hasn't been any of that stuff. It's very solid. Again, I have a 16 Plus, so that's a very new phone. But there was nothing, like, it wasn't stuttery. The battery's not getting drained quickly. But that stuff could happen. If you have an older phone, give it a day or three it has to index, and it has to, get through all of its early stuff. So if
there's some
you download it, it's immediately like
happens.
really bad. Like it should be okay in a day or two.
Yeah. There's background stuff that happens the first day or two.
Right.
So if you're like, oh, my battery doesn't last as long, that's normal.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah. Apple actually has a support document where they specifically say that. Like,
they're like,
give us a couple of days before you yell at us. Yeah.
But if
Okay.
after a week you start noticing that your battery life is like half of what it used to be, it's time to call support.
Possibly, yeah.
And go like, something happened.
And as always, like a restart could also help that stuff. They're all little computers.
Yeah. Turn it off and on again is always a legitimate troubleshooting technique.
Yes. Okay. So that's that. All right. So we're going to talk about the Emmy Awards. Emmy Awards were Sunday. Apple was nominated for a ton of them, 80 something, I think. And I'm going to, Rome's going to talk about what they won, and we'll have a little chat about that in this What's on Apple TV Plus segment.
Yeah, so Apple had a big night on a Sunday night, right? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Tim Cook was there. It was funny to see him talk about the iPhone on the red carpet.
Yes. I forget whose speech it was. He pointed out Tim. I think it was Seth Rogen. I think he said that Tim Cook was in the audience, and then they flashed to Tim Cook. It was kind of funny to see him.
I mean, he's been there before, but he seemed to be more excited this time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the timing was different because the iPhone just came out. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe it was because Apple won 22 Emmys.
They did.
Do you want me to name all 22 that they won? That way you guys get a little break, and then for the next minute or two.
You can skip forward. Hit the 30-second button like 4 times.
Well, all right, so I would say there's primetime Emmys and there's Creative Arts Emmys.
Yes, these are the primetime Emmys. Yeah.
So they won 7 primetime Emmys and then like 15 Creative Arts Emmys. So it's 22 total, but some of these are production type stuff. So
yeah.
Give us the highlights, all the actors and best
the ones they showed on TV.
Directors.
Okay. So Slow Horses, my favorite Apple TV show that I can't pronounce apparently, won a Outstanding Directing for a Drama Series award. Severance won 8 awards. I won't go through all of them, but they got Britt Lauer won for for lead actress in a drama series. Trammell Tillman got an award for supporting actor. Merritt Weaver for guest actress. And then the studio got 13 awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series. Mm-hmm. Seth Rogen for lead actor. Bryan Cranston for guest actor.
He's great in that. He's funny.
Yeah. I haven't seen it at all. I don't even really know what it is. But I'm definitely going to put it on my immediate. Let's go watch that list.
You should. You should watch it. It's good. It's Seth Rogen becomes a guy who he's a.
All right. Here's before you get into it, is Seth Rogen Seth Rogen or is he a character?
No, he's a character.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston is also a character. There are lots of actors who play themselves,
right? But
there are some actors who just play characters. There's a fictional movie studio he becomes the head of when somebody gets caught in a scandal, and he's next in the line to take it over, and that starts the thing. And he's very neurotic, and he super loves movies, and he gets in the way a lot, and it's all about the chaos of putting together movies, and he wants to do all these movies that are great movies, but the business side wants him to do the Kool-Aid movie and all this kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
But it's really well shot. It's very fast paced. It has a good cast, it's very inside baseball with I'm sure Hollywood isn't like this. It's way exaggerated and crazy, but if you are a Hollywood type, just there's probably a million in jokes about real people.
Yeah,
there's a lot of actors there's a ton of cameos of actors playing themselves and stuff like that. So it's fun. And it's also just really well shot and directed. It's really good.
Hollywood tends to like shows that are about themselves.
Yes.
Sure.
They tend to favor it. And it's not saying that the studio is bad. I haven't watched it either.
Yeah.
I plan to. But yeah, so it's kind of not surprising that it won so many awards, I guess. It is good, but also, Hollywood likes to parody itself.
For sure.
So, So it won, a guest actor, one for writing and directing as well. Then it won a bunch of other creative arts type awards. So it had a big night.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the shows that won. Well, I saw Severance season 1. I haven't seen Severance season 2, and I've never watched Slow Horses.
Oh,
despite
you're not
Roman
watching any of the good stuff.
No. Listen. I have a 14-year-old kid. We watch baseball, and we watch. What did we watch over the weekend?
Bluey.
Geez, I don't even remember.
but you're staring into a screen right now that has Apple TV on it, and you could just watch them right there.
But I'm talking to you guys. I can't watch TV
now. I'm just saying you could watch Slow Horses.
So I have a real hard time watching television while I'm doing other things.
Yeah, me too.
Actually,
I know some people are able to kind of multitask, and I can't. So I have to sit and watch, and I'm just slow to watch this stuff. I'm still trying to get to the first season of Mad Men. Not the first season, the original run of Mad Men. I think we're up to season 5 now, but we're just very slow in this house to watch TV.
Mad Men's fantastic too.
It is. No, it's great.
Yeah. So Apple didn't have the most Emmys. HBO Max and Netflix tied for most overall, with HBO Max getting more primetime Emmys.
That show, The Pit, that's another one that's on my list. That's supposed to be great.
Yeah, I added it to my list, but I haven't gotten there yet.
That's been my favorite show this year so far.
Okay, so you watched.
Yeah. There's some good stuff coming. We should mention the season 4 of The Morning Show comes out. By the time you hear this, it'll be out. It's a Wednesday drop. So it's coming out.
The Morning Show was one of the few that are still left from Apple TV's original launch slate of programming.
Yep.
That was their big show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and others. It's good. I watched. I've watched the first 3. The first season was fantastic. The second was they were both good, but the first is the better of the 3. But I'm curious to see. Does anyone know? Is this do they plan on keeping it going, or is this the final season? Or is there any talk about that?
I have not heard that it is the final season. They have not announced that, but that doesn't mean it's not. Right. So they're not promoting this as the final season of The Morning Show or anything.
Okay.
But I think every time they fight to get a greenlit for another season, right? Depending on viewership.
Yeah. But this one I feel like it wouldn't matter. They're going to keep it going if they want to keep it going.
It's expensive though, so maybe not.
I know, but it's they're marquee, or at least they're going to end it. How about that? They wouldn't just cancel it.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, but they keep a lot of the story a surprise, so we don't know what's going to happen this season. It could be that it's already been canceled, but it's all part of the story that you don't know for 6 weeks, and we'll see. Anyway, Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy is coming out this Friday. That's another one that's and that's an easy kind of I don't want to call it a background watch, but that's one that it's easy to not pay too much attention to. It's a nice low stakes, low key show. Basically, Eugene Levy goes
like a reality show type thing.
It's a travelogue show. So it's he goes to some beautiful exotic location and stays in a 4-star restaurant and complains about everything the entire time because they make him do something he's uncomfortable with, going on some hike or something like that. And it's Eugene Levy, so he just complains about doing things that are outside his comfort zone all the time. But it's so pretty to see some of these locations, really gorgeous shot and all that other kind of stuff. It's interesting. So that's coming up this Friday, and then Slow Horses, which we talked about next week. So there's some.
Is
really
that one ending, Roman? Do you know, or is that still going on?
I think it's still going on.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it's just season 3 or 4 or whatever it's up to.
Somebody left the main showrunner left the show or something after this.
I read that.
Season because of some creative differences. So I think season 6 may be up in the air.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those ones where it would not surprise me if we heard there were not going to be a season 6.
Right.
But no end hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, I think with Slow Horses, as far as I can remember, they don't announce the next season until well after that current season's over. So I don't know if that's a strategic thing or if they just haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
I
At
might be
least
wrong on
until
that.
it's debuted. Like it'll be like the second or third week, and you'll hear like, oh, they got a new season or something like that.
Okay.
You know, it's certainly
Maybe
not
I'm
going to
missing
be. So some might have also been like much later that they announced, but they also are on a different timetable. This is season 5 already.
Yeah.
Like there's a season every 8 months or something, and they're like 6 episodes.
Yeah, they're not that long. It's not a long season,
So yeah, which I kind of appreciate. I kind of like that it happens more frequently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they don't drag it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a good show. I mean, like watch anything with Gary Oldman in it, really is kind of a good general rule. But yeah, he's awesome in this.
So that's the Apple success at the Emmys.
Yeah, they had a good night. I don't usually watch the Emmys, but I flipped it on for a little bit. They had like a little. It was like a gimmick by the Jason. What was the host name? I'm sure you know his. It was a comedian.
I didn't watch
his name.
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, he had as people were speaking, they had a ticker, and if you went over your allotted time, the money that they were donating to Boys and Girls Club like went down. So it was just a funny gimmick all night long.
Okay, yeah, it's funny.
It was Anyway, okay. So that's Apple TV Plus. Things coming out. Go catch up on shows like me if you've missed any of those. And now we will do, and I forgot what it is. Oh, I remember. This week in Apple history. Or maybe, was it this week? This general time frame in Apple history.
It is, yeah.
It's not just this week, it's today.
How about
we're
that?
recording this on September 16th. 40 years ago today, Steve Jobs left Apple. So this was the whole.
That's putting it generously, though.
Left, quote unquote left. Well, he left. So he was
pushed out, but
exactly, he was pushed out. So back in 1983 was when John Scully came on board as the CEO, and there was a little honeymoon period between Steve Jobs and John Scully for a while there. And then, as the story goes, the Mac was going to be released, and they had a disagreement about how it should be priced. And, Scully was very much of the kind of, the board says we need to do this and we need to be conscious of our stock price and return to our investors. So he wanted to have a higher price. Steve Jobs wanted to have a lower price. And Mac came out with a higher price tag than Scully, the Scully price tag, so to speak. And then from then on out, it kind of everything went downhill between Jobs and Scully. And eventually Scully got the board on his side to get rid. Well, actually, they didn't get rid of Steve Jobs. They made him chairman.
Right.
Which is kind of this symbolic position. And Jobs was fed up with it and resigned. That's
he didn't have an operational role within Apple. He had a board role, and that was it. And he was like, no, he had to be intimately involved in every product. And so they basically made it. When I say they forced him out, it's like that. Not like they fired him, but they made it so uncomfortable for him to be there that he was going to leave. And he just said, fine, I'll take my best engineers and I'll go make a box called Next and it'll be better. And all this other.
It's funny to think. So Scully he was hired by Steve Jobs as CEO. And that's that famous quote. Do you want to sell sugar water all your life or do you want to change the world, that allegedly Steve used to recruit him? And it's funny to think now that anybody in that building would look at Steve Jobs and say, we don't need you here anymore. Sure. But there was a time when he wasn't really appreciated and people didn't like him. They were happy to see him leave.
He's famously a tough manager to work with.
And, in those early days, Steve was doing, great things, but so was the rest of the tech landscape. Like, it wasn't until later on, looking back, when you could really see, like, when I remember there's a story of him and Steve Wozniak when they were doing the original Apple motherboard, and Steve was like, we need to make sure that the inside of this thing is as beautiful as the outside. He's like, what are you talking about? Who cares? But like, that's the kind of stuff that, looking back, that's what, made Apple Apple. But at the time, that stuff cost money. The whole Macintosh division cost Apple money. Like, they split from the Lisa, and there was a whole separate thing, and they wanted to price it a certain way. And, it's a fascinating story. If you ever want to read, there's a bunch of books out there, but it's the Steve Jobs story isn't the normal CEO story.
Right. And there's a bunch of books and articles and a movie and stuff like that, all about how he kind of like engineered his way into the Apple buying Next and taking it back in. And, it's almost as though he built a company for the purpose of coming back to Apple and taking it over,
and taking over. For sure.
So there's a lot there. That's not even a podcast. That's a whole podcast series. That's not a podcast episode. Yeah. That's a whole podcast. Like, you could just have about all that stuff. But that's we look at it now as a sad day. But I think at the time, people looked at sort of Steve Jobs leaving as like, finally he'll get out of the way and Apple will get to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And that's not actually what happened.
Not quite. They had a bunch of missteps, a bunch of, failed product launches. They were nearly bankrupt, and then he came back, and, everyone knows what happened after that.
Yeah. One of their chief problems under Scully is they went with the sort of usual playbook of like, have a product for every person and price point. Right. And so they ended up with like a million kinds of like individual Macs for business and just all kinds of stuff. It was kind of a mess.
Then they licensed, they had Hackintoshes, they had power computing. Like, they took Apple in a very different direction.
I don't remember when it happened. I think it was before Steve Jobs left, but the sort of Apple II line, to me, there was this competition sort of within Apple between the Mac and the Apple II GS, right? The Apple II GS was an Apple, quote, an Apple II, but it was a whole new graphical operating system, mouse, all the things, right? But still an Apple II, and it had great color and sound and all this stuff that Mac didn't have. I was a 2GS guy. I was like, number one, I owned one. Number two, it was clearly the better computer. But that's not Mac within Apple. Mac won this idea that like, we're going to have this all in one box, and it's going to run different software, and we're starting over with our sort of software frameworks and all that other kind of stuff. But I don't remember if that was sort of John Scully that kind of killed Apple IIgs and went in on Macintosh because of it could make more money or something, or if that happened before Jobs left. I forget where the timeline is on that.
I mean, the Mac, well, we just talked about the Mac launched obviously with Steve Jobs. I mean, he did the whole presentation,
right?
And he wasn't there that much longer after that. But
that's what I mean. Yeah, and the 2GS was around that same time when the Mac launched and all that other kind of stuff. So,
I mean, I can't imagine a world where they would have said like, we're gonna not continue forward with the Macintosh. I mean, the Mac, the commercial, the whole thing, like that was,
just sort of killing that Apple II legacy and line, but not just the legacy, but just like Apple IIgs took Apple II and gave it all these things that Mac had. Like it had a graphical interface, it had a mouse, it had all these things, but it also had full color, great color, and awesome sound and all these things. Macintosh it wasn't grayscale, it was black and white.
Yeah.
You had a black pixel or a white pixel. Like, no, not even gray. Like it was, but super high resolution, black and white, but that was it. Yeah. I was team 2GS. I was sad to see it go.
Well, I didn't have any of those. My first Mac was like a Power Mac in like 2000. I didn't have an early one at all. I had an IBM when I was in college, and so Roman, did you cover the Mac launch?
I was 14. I did not cover the Mac launch, but I was in a recreation of the Mac launch for the Steve Jobs movie with Michael Fassbender.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
like as an extra.
As an extra, yeah,
I was cool.
So they had a roundup call-up. I don't remember what they call it in Hollywood. Because they redid it at the De Anza Theater in Cupertino, which is where the original unveiling was. And they had, they did a call. They wanted a crowd there. And so I signed up and I got picked. And
can we see you in the movie?
There's I think I actually wrote an article and I'll put it in the show notes. I wrote an article for Macworld. There's a very blurry picture of me because they panned the crowd.
Yeah.
And if, I freeze framed it. And I don't know if you could tell it's me, but yeah, I knew it was me because I knew I was sitting and stuff.
At least you were in the better of the two Steve Jobs movies. You could have been in the one with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty boring, I think, 2 hours that we had to do. So we had to sit there and applaud on cue. But they didn't actually do the scene that, they edited that in. They just had us do crowd noise and things like that. And they had a stand-in at the podium. Mm-hmm. And then, they told us, okay, everyone clap. And we all clapped. Everyone cheer. And we all cheered. And then that was pretty much it. The one thing I do vividly remember about that event was
you're talking about the movie or the actual introduction?
The filming of that movie.
Okay.
Not I was 14 years old. I wasn't at the introduction. Was that the people around me were all using either flip phones or not Apple phones. There was not one Apple phone being in use by the people around me.
Right, because you don't want that in the shot, right?
They didn't want that in the shot, but nobody around us was, when they were filming, people were using their phones and nobody had an iPhone.
Oh, you're saying that like no one had one yet?
Oh, I forget when we did this shot. I mean, the iPhone had been out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I was the only one in my circle of 12 people that I could see that had an iPhone. Everyone else had a different kind of phone.
Interesting.
I mean, that was probably like 2013,
when did that movie come out? I think so, something like that. It was like 10, 13 years
I mean,
ago.
iPhones were fairly common and popular by then, but they
were still an expensive phone.
Mm-hmm, sure.
I mean, they're expensive now, but even back then, it was more of a.
All the other extras had something else.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at a recreation of the event. I wasn't
that's funny. So I learned something new about Roman today. For one, he was 14 in 1984. For two, he was at a recreation of the Mac event, and he might be on film somewhere if we can watch it in 4K.
To wrap up the history event, Steve Jobs returned to Apple on September 16th, 1997 as the ICE.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny.
They dropped the I on that after a while.
Right.
Interim it stood for. That was at Macworld, New York, I think.
Yeah, the following January, they dropped the I eventually. So,
all right.
Now let's go into. Is it okay if I do the segue?
Yeah, of course. Please.
Let's talk about the Macworld Podcast Mailbag. We've got some comments on some video shorts that we posted about the iPhone Air. Just a few comments here before we wrap up this podcast.
I pre-ordered one. I don't think either one of you did, but I'm interested. I think I might hate it after 6 months, but I pre-ordered the Air.
Yeah, you said last week you had it all geared up, ready. You had it favorited and ready to go, so you could just check out.
So now it's like they took my money this afternoon. Like it's done. Okay.
And it's on schedule to arrive on Friday.
Yeah.
What
I think you can still
get?
buy one. I got the light blue color.
Okay.
I think you can still get one for delivery on Friday. It's like the only one that's available. I don't want to get into a whole discussion because we don't know about like that's a whole nother thing. But I think you can still buy one.
Yeah. Riley Rain on TikTok said, I have a 14 Pro Max just pre-ordered the Air and super excited to have a phone that's not as heavy as a brick.
Mm.
A possum on TikTok. Opossum?
Opossum? Like the animal?
Like the animal. They have the animal as their icon. Said, the battery's fine. No, not everyone is a cinematic photographer.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see, like, people are still like, they don't believe Apple's claims. I'm very curious to see the reviews and the real world stuff about the durability, because people are going to try to break it immediately.
Yeah.
And also the battery life.
Well, on the durability front, there's that, what is it, that talk show that they do at the end of these Apple events where they get... It
was Tom's Guide.
Yeah. Tom's Guide. That's Mark Spoonauer and Lance Zuniloff, I think. Somebody else. And they tried to bend they handed them ones to try and bend it, and they cranked on it. And it barely flexes a little bit, comes back, but it's not, they were not able to bend it. So I think people are going to be happy with that aspect of the durability, at least.
I'm
curious about real battery life. Yeah.
Jerry rig everything will be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, number one, top front of the line. I'm surprised Apple didn't. Maybe they did, because as of now, we didn't get the iPhone reviews yet.
He's my favorite.
If I was Apple, I would have
phone
sent
destroyer
him
for sure.
in that first thing. Like, here, go ahead, try to break it.
Well, I'm just going to shout out to Jerry Rig Everything, because he's a very thorough and professional phone destroyer, and he's going to see if this thing's really 3 times more scratch resistant on the front and the back, and chips, and does the color show through the chips, and he's going to light it on fire, and he's going to do all the things. Like, and I'm here for it. He does a great job. So,
Anthony Akoma on TikTok said about the iPhone Air's single speaker, it makes a difference acoustically. I've had all the iPhones.
I mean, sure. I mean, if you care about this, I don't care personally about a stereo speaker. I don't need it to be stereo. I listen with headphones if I listen to it, or I'm watching something that I don't care if it's in stereo. But you know, if that matters to you, there's 3 other phones to choose from.
And finally, Ziv Zoolander also said about the speaker, it's minor, but does make a difference if you're watching videos in landscape mode without headphones.
How many people are doing that?
But don't they, in landscape mode, don't they do what they do on the other iPhones where they use the earpiece speaker and the bottom speaker?
Well, but the bottom speaker doesn't exist. That's what they're saying.
Oh, it only uses the earpiece speaker. Yeah.
So if they do that, it would have to involve some trickery.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if stereo is important to you, I feel like you should already be using headphones.
Right.
Like, but there are people who will have a whole 30-minute phone call holding their phone like it's a slice of pizza next to their face. And like, number one, rude. Like,
but that's like the common thing now.
But I see people.
I don't know who. I didn't know
music
people talk
that way.
Like that, but Jason's right. Like, they'll walk around like this, and it's like, I can hear what you're saying, right? And I can hear I'm like the opposite. I'll run into like a corner of a store where nobody is, so no one can hear me.
Cup your hand over it, put your ear to the ear. No, but as there are people who live on speakerphone and hold it like that, and also will walk around listening to music out of their phone. Headphones, man. Come on. We don't need to hear what you're listening to.
That's true.
Yeah. The awkward thing to me is when I go into like a public restroom and there's someone in the stall and they're looking at like TikTok videos with the speaker on. Like, what? Oh man.
I don't think I've experienced that one, but I can totally believe it.
Yeah. So anyways, that wraps up the Macworld Podcast Mailbag.
All right. And man, this is another marathon show. Maybe next week it will be back to like under an hour. But for now, that does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode number 951. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Roman. It's funny. In this intro, so I copied Roman's old outro. And it literally says my name in it. I still haven't changed it. Thanks to. So I have to remember to not thank myself. And now I just screwed up Roman.
To edit it.
Thanks to Roman Loyola.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, the audience, for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in a podcast app on Spotify, YouTube at the Macworld Podcast channel, or through any other podcast app. Comments or questions, as I've said before, contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. You can contact me directly over email. Search for Macworld and look for the blue mouse logo. Although you won't find my email that way. You'll only find social stuff. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.